Hi, this is Ruth. Welcome to this week's video, and today I want to talk all about foreplay. What do women want and how we can learn more about making foreplay a much wider, broader experience really, and what exactly we mean by that term. So I want to debunk some myths and talk about that in more detail. And I'm going to do it in the form of kind of three top tips, three top messages that I think could be really helpful for yourself, whether you're single and you're looking to cultivate this in your own personal life, or whether you're in a relationship with a man, a woman, or anyone else of any kind of rainbow of relationships. So first off, I want to debunk the idea that in this video we're going to be talking about typical ideas of foreplay, which may be a little bit of kissing, a little bit of fumbling and touching up, and kind of like extras that happen in say the few minutes, 5 minutes before intercourse. So that is not what the video is going to focus on. The video is focusing on the idea that foreplay starts the moment that intercourse ends, and that everything that we do and the way we interact with our partners and the world is foreplay. So that's really, really important, I feel, and is often missing in the discussions that we have around this subject. And it's worth noting that as humans, we think we're superior and we've gone past all these animalistic qualities that we see in our closest relations. So we are very closely related DNA-wise to chimps, and equally, which is a fairly recent discovery, we are equally related to bonobo monkeys. And bonobo monkeys are fascinating. So the way that they use relationships and sex between each other to create kind of harmonious societies is that it's way beyond just sex for procreation. Sex is used within the bonobo monkeys to really glue bonds together and create really strong relationships amongst those monkeys. So if we look at human relationships and the way we interact as humans, we kind of can see a similar pattern, that we very much do not just use sex for procreation. We have sex all through the month, even when it's not possible for a woman to get pregnant. And it has many uses. So there are many different shades of sex within humans. So there is sex to make babies, there is sex when we've fallen out, there is sex to get what we want, there is sex to feel connection and love when we're having a difficult time, there is sex just to have fun. So there's a whole rainbow spectrum, very similar to the bonobo monkeys. And just like the bonobos, sex is part of our wider life. And when I use that term, I don't just mean the actual act of penetration and intercourse. It's the idea of being in relationship with each other and there being that sexual energy at play. So talking about foreplay in a wider sense, I said before in the video about so many therapists and couples counsellors will talk about the fact that, many of the portrayals of relationships and particularly sex that we see in the media and within porn tend to just cut off once, the man has reached climax, and don't focus on the importance of everything that comes after that. And so it's really, really good to think about that. So jumping into tip one, first of all, I want to talk about the idea that foreplay starts at breakfast. So it's really this idea that, foreplay is not just something that happens in the 5 to 10 minutes before we have sex, or in the half an hour before we decide that we want sex to happen, and so we start doing things in a transactional way to make the other person want to have sex with us. So the idea that foreplay is part of everything that we do within our households, within the way that we speak to each other, within the way that we talk to one another. And there's a really nice moment in a Ray Charles song that I was listening to just the other day, and the line is, "Early morning for the sun comes up, she brings me coffee in my favourite cup." And then the song carries on, it's, "I know I love her so, that's why I love her so." And so simple acts like that, "She brings me coffee in my favourite cup." You know, how do we feel when someone does that for us? It feels really lovely, and we feel like someone knows us, someone wants us to have a good day, they're grateful. There's that real feeling of being seen and a feeling of appreciation, and that cannot be overestimated how important that can be in a relationship. And it's not just bringing someone coffee in their favourite cup, it could be different for many different people. So say for example, we are someone that values when our partner does domestic tasks and we feel really overwrought, we've got a few kids, we feel like we never stop doing dishes and washing and all that stuff, and our partner steps in and really takes a hand and gives us a break. That could be it. For some women or for some people, that's not going to work. And so instead it might be somebody coming up and just giving you an unexpected touch, a squeeze, a really lingering kiss, or just a really great moment of intense eye contact that makes you feel very desired. So there are different things for different people, but just that notion that foreplay starts at breakfast is a really good one to have in mind. And the idea that it starts at breakfast is just kind of like a memorable term. But now there are lots of people, particularly a lady called Erica Lust who makes adult films, porn films. She always at the end of each film puts a focus on the fact that once sex as the kind of act of intercourse is over, you know, the couple are laughing, they're joking, they're saying what they liked, what they want to try next time. There's lots of touch and stroking, and you get to see all of that happens straight afterwards, because I've heard her talk a lot about how important it is that we embed within young people and older people as well, that idea that that is a key part of the experience. So it's not just the lead up and the act itself like it is in a lot of mainstream films, it's the afterwards as well, which is so important. So yeah, everything from coffee to what we're saying straight afterwards, and just that idea, that appreciation, really feeling seen. And I've got a great video that I'll link to below on the 5 love languages, which can really help with this, about knowing what you like, what your partner likes, how you communicate love and intimacy and desire between the two of you. So I'll post that link below so you can watch that video as well. Number 2 tip is, you don't ask, you don't get. So in a lot of relationships, there's this idea that we're on the same page with our partner. We operate the same way, we can read each other's minds. We can't do that. If we've been with someone for a long time, we might get ideas of what they're thinking and what they want. But a lot of the time that's clouded by past things that have gone on, our own feelings, our judgments, and it's so often it's inaccurate. So really thinking about like how we can do that, because it's not always easy to ask for what we want, especially in the realms of like being intimate with someone and being sexual with someone. A lot of us carry shame, a great deal of fear around being vulnerable, because things might have happened to us in our past, or we see a lot of negativity in media and the outside world that makes us shy away from saying what we want. So one really good way to do is, when something does happen that you like and it's actually happened with the other person, let's face it, we hope that there's at least 1 or 2 things that our partner does that we like, is to reinforce that and make sure they know, because they're not mind readers. So if your partner does give you a really long kiss before you go to work, and maybe gives your bum a little pinch or something, and you like that, then tell them, you know, like, message them on your lunch hour and say, oh God, I really loved that kiss you gave me this morning, or I really loved that cup of coffee that you brought me, or that little thing that you text me yesterday. So making sure that they know what you like and reinforcing when they do good things, rather than always focusing on the things that they're not doing, like, oh, you never put the bin out, or you never want to touch me. Trying to reinforce when they do something positive can be really helpful. And yeah, just remembering that if you don't communicate it, you cannot be angry if your partner doesn't know. And just finding ways to cultivate vulnerability. Again, I'll post a link below to a video that I've got on about the power of vulnerability, how much it can improve our relationships and open us up to new things. So I will post a link to that below. And finally, tip 3, keep the fire burning, which I think is a Disclosure song, which springs to mind. But what really springs to mind with this as an analogy is anyone who's got like a wood burner or an open fire. So when I was growing up, we'd get given tasks and chores. We had like 2 open fires in the house, and on a good day, if you did things right, you could get the fire all set up, you could do all of that prep work, and then you would get a roaring fire going. And before you went to bed, if it was still roaring, you could use the embers and the fire wouldn't have gone completely out the next day, and you could just do some maintenance and it was a quicker turnaround, and you could just get that fire roaring again relatively quickly, rather than letting it go out and then having to start from scratch over again. And it's the same in long-term relationships, and any relationship that sort of goes past those intoxicating, heady, chemical fire, hormone fire, which is awesome, like the best, but unfortunately just does not last forever, which is sad. And then we've got to do the work. The fire is going to go out if we don't do the maintenance, if we don't do the prep work, we don't put the kindling in, we don't do the foreplay, as we've been talking about in this video. So really doing everything that we can to keep that fire burning, and to recognise the issues around that. There is domesticity and familiarity on one side, and then on the other side is novelty and passion and desire, and these things do not go hand in hand. They are a dichotomy, I think that's the right word to use. So if we have a very familiar, very domesticated relationship with someone, we can't then just expect that we're going to have burning passion and desire and a great intimate sexual connection. And Esther Perel, the relationship therapist, has got a book called Mating in Captivity on this topic, which is really fascinating. And just the actual fact of someone telling you that it's hard, they don't go hand in hand. Your partner can't just be your best friend, your lover, your domestic housemate, without some serious acknowledgement of the difficulties of that. So if you want to kindle this fire of passion and have great foreplay, you need to counteract the familiarity and the domesticity that you have with your partner, whether that is dirty weekends away, or it is meeting each other on dates rather than going and doing everything together, so you see each other walk in, it makes you feel like you're back in that early stages of the relationship. Or you go out and see your partner doing things externally that they're really good at, and that you're spectating and you're watching, and that's an attractive thing in itself. Or role play, costumes, whatever, there's so many different ways. Again, no one size fits all, but just recognizing that this will ebb and flow. And if you've got like a brand new baby, you're not going to be having probably this burning passion, because the domesticity and the familiarity is the primary need at that time. The primary need at the other time of your life may be the passion, and these can just interchange as we go along, but keeping that analogy of keeping that fire going, maintaining is really helpful. So I hope this has given you some ideas around foreplay not just being about a little bit of touching and kissing and all the extras that we do around intercourse, and the idea that it is much more, and it not only can revitalise your relationship with someone else, it can also revitalise the relationship you have with yourself, because you're taking care and you're respecting this energy that you've got inside yourself. So it's not just for people that are in couples, you can do this alone. And I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you next week for another video. All right, thanks guys, bye.